been doing all the way through. I've been saying watch it on the app and YouTube.
All right, let's get going again, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Investment in IT required. Resolution 1, to amend the wording of Restricted Action 1 in the Dons Trust Constitution and to authorise the DCB to cast the Dons Trust votes at a future AFCW plc SGM to alter the articles to say any action that results in the Society's voting capacity in AFCW plc falling below 50.01%. Okay, all of those in the room in favour of that resolution, would you raise your blue cards, please? Who's counting? Someone's counting. Thank you. All those against? And anyone abstaining? Thank you very much. Now we'll try and do that online if we can.
It's going to take a few minutes.
It's It's going to take a couple of minutes to do an online version of this vote for the people who are on Zoom. Apologies to those people online if they haven't heard all of the discussions in the room, but they can't have avoided the numerous emails and papers that we've put out over the past few weeks. We'll just give them a minute to register votes if they're going to do so. Thank you very much, everybody online and everybody in the room. Now let's go on and talk about Resolution 2. Resolution 2 is a new constitution, and this is to formally adopt the new constitution and propose standing orders. What members are being asked to approve is to adopt the proposed new constitution and standing orders, which has been written in consultation with the Constitution Working Group, the Football Supporters, the Dons Trust, and we thank all the people who have been involved in that process. It's a complicated and hard work and difficult process that people have gone through, and I can't thank them enough for getting involved in it to do something that we've needed to do for at least a decade, possibly longer than that even. So would anyone like to start us off with a question about constitution and constitutional matters? I'm not seeing any questions so far. I'm happy to take them, and I know James, our constitution expert, is primed and ready with discussion points of great import. The one in the middle there, finally. Thank you very much for breaking the dark.
Okay, it's only just to say thanks, James. I got your response the other day. It was about the community shares stuff, which I raised at a previous meeting, and why that was still in there. I understand the reason that's still in there because of obviously the way we are, and the rules have changed, the tax situation's changed, but it's better to have it then in there than not. So, just a comment really.
And there aren't any questions online. Any other questions? Because if there aren't, we could just move right on to another vote. But I don't want to stop anyone in the room who might be reticent about asking a question about our beloved constitution.
Can I ask a question?
You can, mine. But we
James
might not answer yours. Mine.
James did a very good summary before. Could we just repeat the summary of what we think the 5 changes are, the most important parts?
Yes, for sure we could do that.
Yep, sure. So easier for members to call a meeting because it reduces the threshold from the current 10% to 5%, which helps with holding the board to account. Flexible voting process for voting before, after, or both on resolutions. Clearer modern language, which reflects the structure and the composition of the Dons Trust and its membership today, as well as adopting best practices. Clearer co-option rules, and crucially retains the protections of the restricted actions.
Thank you, James. And a question, Tim.
Tim Hillier with a question for George. Could you tell us, please, George, what for resolutions 1 and 2, the total membership or voting membership and the thresholds for the two key figures? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So the membership, when we closed it in terms of the start of this process, was 7,514. This means we need a minimum turnout of 3,757. Obviously, we'd need 75% of votes cast to be in favour, and for those to represent a minimum of 40% of the membership, which would be 3,005. So that's the threshold. Hopefully that's answered it.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions? If there aren't, we can just go right on with the vote. So for Resolution 2, a new constitution, would all of those in the room in favour please raise your blue cards? And all those against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. And again, we'll allow an online vote to take place on Zoom for a few minutes, and then we'll continue. That concludes voting online. Thank you everyone for your attention to that. Now we'll go on to Resolution 3. This is the 15% ownership cap. This is to authorise the DTB, the Dons Trust Board, to cast the Dons Trust votes in favour of removing Rule 58 from the Articles of AFCW plc. So what members are being asked to do here is to authorise the board to vote at a future AFCW plc special general meeting this year in favour of removing Rule 58 from the AFCW plc's articles. And we'd be happy to take questions on that topic. Anyone got questions about that? We've got an online question.
So the first online question we've got this evening is from Nir Razan. He says, why does the protection we were asked to put in place 2 years ago for this exact vote is now asked to be removed? He understands that it can discourage serious investors as they see it as too small a percentage available. But 2 years ago, it was so important for the board to have it in place. Why should we remove it now?
It's a fair question. When we put the 15% in place, the focus was on individual investors rather than people or people acting in concert was the concern, as opposed to what I've termed in other responses anchor minority investors, i.e. people who are not only going to buy equity but give us access to other skills and give us access to additional funding for various projects. Those people, when we've had conversations, don't wish to be limited to 15%. And you can see why. If you turn it around the other way, if you're asking people to put that kind of money in, they will also look at the protections that they have. And they can argue with some justification that they're being asked to put the maximum amount of money in with absolute minimum protections. However, regardless of those views, it simply limits to a large extent anybody that we can talk to or is prepared to engage with us. So as Churchill said, when the facts change, I change my opinion, and that's just one of those. And I was very much in favour of the 15% and of it.
Probably a hypothetical. I think we're all assuming that Resolution 1 and Resolution 3 will probably get a similar positive, negative vote, so probably either both will pass or both won't pass. But hypothetically, if Resolution 1 doesn't pass, and therefore we're still at 75%, but Resolution 3 does pass, or on the members' vote passes, would the board still take it forward? And I appreciate that's probably hypothetical. And similarly, there clearly aren't 25% of shares available to a single purchaser at the moment either, which makes it more hypothetical. But would you take it forward if Resolution 1 didn't go through and Resolution 3 did?
Yes, we would, because hypothetically, removing that, obviously, if somebody then did approach us who, at a later date, who was deemed to be appropriate and suitably aligned, then we could come to you for approval for them to be an investor in the knowledge that that 15% restriction has already been lifted out. So yes, is the short answer.
And we've got another online question.
Again, this is from Nir Razan. He says, again for Resolution 3, if we are looking at the 15% cap or even 20 or 25% potential investors' equity, what do we expect from them as kind of a big investor to always bring in big capital, big working capital, sorry, and is this an uncompromising position for the board?
I don't know what uncompromising means in that context.
I think it basically is this a deal breaker if they don't want to provide working capital?
This is back to ideal investors. Clearly, we would like people to have access to working capital who are anchor investors. So it prevents the people who've got that working capital from engaging. It's back to my previous answer, really. I can't say more than that.
Thank you, Graham. Any other questions in the room? If there aren't, then we can continue to a vote on Resolution 3. So Resolution 3, remember, is to...
Please dead break.
we just need to take another break for technical reasons, so let's do that. Hi everyone, let's carry on with the in-room vote and then we'll catch up with the stream in a moment. So this is Resolution 3, remember, the 15% ownership cap to authorise the DTB to cast the Dons Trust votes in favour of removing Rule 58 from the AFCW PLC articles. So all those who are in favour of that, could you raise your blue card? Thank you. All those against? I have nobody in the room. And any abstentions? I have nobody in the room. Thank you. And we'll conduct the same vote online. Just carry on. And while we're doing that, let's move on in the room to any other business. Does anyone have any other business they'd like to raise at the meeting? I see a hand up over there. Tim Hillier.
Tim Hillier. Given the process tonight and the embarrassing dropping out of online voting and coverage, could we ask the club, please, to have a review of IT coverage and ensure that future meetings are held much more smoothly and democratically. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, we will. And we have before, and we will again. Obviously, it's not really perfect to have our Zoom not work the way we need it to work. So we'll find out what happened and we'll remediate. A question at the front here?
Sorry,
Or AOB item at the front here?
Just timeline, really. When will we know the results of the vote?
When will we know the results of the vote? That's a question for our secretary.
Yeah, so as soon as this meeting's finished, I'll cross-check, obviously, all the people online, everyone who submitted a proxy and everyone who's voted on Zoom tonight. So my hope would be, sometime tomorrow we'd be able to put the results out. Thank you.
And then if it passes, of course, we've got another vote on April the 9th, so, and another meeting then, so 8th, sorry. Never trust a dyslexic with dates.
Which will be a good target for us to have improved the IT by, won't it? Any other questions? Any other business? Anybody? One over there?
Gary Davis. Just referring back to a slide from Meet the Club Board in February, the donation slide where it mentioned a significant donation by the Bernard and Joyce Coleman Charitable Trust towards Academy Infrastructure Project. Was there any update on that? Thank you.
I don't think there's any update on it other than we're extraordinarily grateful for it and to the trust for contributing to that. That was a massively helpful, and I know Peter was involved in that process as well. And it was I don't think there's any update other than it was a really brilliant thing to have done.
Thank you, James. Last chance then for AOB. Go on, Peter. Go on. You know you want to. No. The update is as it was before. We are in the middle of a legal process and have been advised not to say anything at this time, right? You knew I would say that. All right, on that exciting bombshell, I think we'll close off the meeting, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for turning out tonight. It's really important to our democracy, isn't it? And I know that you all feel the heart of the club in you the same way we all do. And we're all, absolutely determined to do the right thing for our club and for our future here at Plough Lane. And we'll keep you front of mind as we do that, and we will bring everything to you to discuss and to agree. Thanks again.
And hopefully everyone will be back here for the meeting in April as well.